All right, guys, this episode of Conversations on Curiosity is brought to you by Feels Clothing. Feels Clothing was created by an independent artist, Joshua Hayden, otherwise known as Jay Hayden. It is a very natural, genuine brand that represents Nebraska, its culture, and creativity in expressing your feelings. So check it out at the link in the description, and that is feels.clothing.com or Feels Clothing on Instagram. All right, Andres, good to see you, man.
Got the sponsors out of the way. Good stuff.
Yeah, we got to pay the bills.
Oh, that's right.
How are you doing, man?
Doing really good.
Good.
Yeah, I haven't been back in a while, so it's good to see a lot of people. I've seen a lot of you guys for 2 years. So
Yeah, it's been a while, man. You've been on your adventures in California. And when did you start that? So you lived in Nebraska.
Well,
Give me your life story a little bit, I guess. Just some background.
Well, I mean, I guess the last 3 years. Let's go back there because I kind of wanted to move out there, but without direction, just like that's where you want to go if you want to do film and stuff. So buddies of mine kind of brought up the idea of doing this and kind of started working together. First thing, you got to have money to move anywhere. So it's pretty much just working for a good while. And then, everything just kind of took off where I was making moves by myself because there's no rubric of how to do this, right?
Yeah.
So I did talk to my mentors a lot just because I know this was pretty risky. And I'm fortunate my parents and my mentors were supportive of this, And it just kind of started planning this and that. And the biggest thing was, finding a place to stay because, the whole leasing thing I was talking to you about, leasing officers or whoever's, they're not going to trust a kid from Nebraska. Oh, yeah, come on in. We're just going to, our credit scores were crap,
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we're very fortunate. Started in Monterey, Dylan Rayleigh was it done as well. Really cool, talented film. And director, does post productions. So I was fortunate. I was also moving with an artist because, moving in especially somewhere like that, you want to be with people that make you do what you want to do. The more people you have around you that want to do the same thing drives you.
Yeah.
So it was really cool that me and Dylan kind of hashed it out, and we're like, all right, let's give it a go. Started in Monterey. He had a house that was handed down to his family, and we just went on our laptops and went ham and tried to find a place.
Nice. So let me rewind a little bit. You moved to California, obviously, and you grew up. You spent a large majority of your life in Nebraska. What was the motivation for that move? For the people that might not know your background, was it art? Was it acting?
Yeah. I've been, acting and doing art, singing this and that since I was a little kid. My mom always, pushed creativity. I was an only child for, I have step brothers and sisters, but for the most part, I was, creating with my imagination. So acting just kind of came natural to me because I was always in that space, creating, within myself. So that's probably what drove for all these years, just trying to work up to this. And then
Okay, was it the sun? Because some people just move to Cali or have this idea that like everybody goes to Cali for the sunshine and the beaches.
No,
but yours was a little more like career motivated.
Mine was career motivated, but also I chose California because I heard the vibes in California are just unreal. I'd been to New York before, but I didn't really want to. I visited New York, but I never really, found myself living there. So ever since I was a little kid, you see, hey, let's move to California. So it's kind of one of those, dreams that you have when you were a kid. And then you have the opportunity to make it happen, and either you do it or, you don't. And
That's cool.
for the most part, yes, it was a career thing. But since I've been there these last couple years, I found it to be, somewhere where I'd want to live, for a while, maybe not like raise a family or anything, but I think I found the place where I thrive the most,
That's
especially
amazing.
being a Latino, New York is a little bit, if you want to do theater, people tend to gravitate towards New York. We have friends from Doane that are there right now, and I don't know. California kind of just spoke to me, and I listened to that. I was like, all right, let's try it. I mean,
Yeah.
what can go wrong? If I don't like it, I move somewhere else. I thought of it that way.
Yeah. That's interesting. So
Yeah.
I like that idea. So like in the creative spaces of acting and stuff like that, the two biggest hubs seem to be New York and LA.
Well, that's what for the most part.
Okay.
The thing with film is like it's really expensive to film anywhere.
Yeah.
Here in Nebraska, you can point and shoot, and you don't have to pay anybody anything. I mean, say there's a farmer that has a private land. You go up to I'm assuming, I mean, this is what I would do. I'd go to the farm and be like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, your sunset over that tree looks awesome. Can I film there? Most likely that guy's going to be like, yeah, whatever. Take your time, whatever.
Yeah.
You do that in Cali, and the guy of the establishment is like, I want $250,000 because you're filming in my property,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
filming in LA, especially like with CGI and everything, it's pretty rare. I mean, it still happens and stuff, but it's not like back in the day where everything was just shot and literally on location. The industry has changed too. So people go to Louisiana. Patrick Conley, really good friend of ours, is in Atlanta right now doing some really cool film stuff, and that's kind of more of his. I think that's where he was called as an artist, as an actor, and I believe he's doing really well. I've worked with Patrick so long, and it's good to see him, doing his thing as well.
Yeah. It's so
But-
they do the filming everywhere, but why is it, do you think, that people go to these central, like, is it just because the size and the scale and the amount of opportunities when you're talking about acting, people are going to, they always think of going to Cali, LA to be discovered, or
Yeah.
going to New York? I
The-
guess
the
I'm
thing- I think-
so curious about that.
I think the biggest thing is, New York has always been, a very entertainment based
Yeah.
city, and for LA, the film industry was, Hollywood has been the hub for film for a long time. We have since now, expanded that, and we can film other places, but it seems like, LA seems to be where everything gets started, as far as casting and projects, screenplays being read and everything, and then say the film is in Germany, then you audition and stuff in LA, fly to Germany or wherever, and then it kicks off from there. But it seems like LA is a place where everything gets started. Not necessarily that, oh, you're in LA, you're going to be filming movies in LA all the time. No, you're probably going to end up moving around a little bit. But yeah, it's really cool because LA, not only does it have film, but a lot of art. Music has always been a huge thing in LA. And I think culture-wise, also it's very different, and very open-minded people are talking and creating, and they are in this space. The funny thing is, like I told you, the vibes. If you believe in that, vibes in California are super cool. I've met a lot of really cool people. I told you the other day, the only reason why I'm able to do this is because I've been surrounded by super cool people, and I've been supported by all those people. So, shout out to California friends for sure. What's this guy doing in Nebraska doing podcasts? But no, I don't know. The first year, I was like, if you're not happy here, man, try to find somewhere else. And if you're not happy, you can't make other people happy. And if you're not happy, you can't create. You got to be in the right mindset. So it's been a very positive experience. And of course, it hasn't been perfect. There's been shenanigans that have happened, and we've had to deal with this and that. But at the end of the day, we were like, we're supposed to be here. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you bring up the culture and just like the more laid back lifestyle, I guess, the good vibes, some people call it.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like? Because I always hear these, like, describe that for me, because I've never been to California. But a lot of the time people think, or people portray it as like people just wearing just crazy experimental clothing types. You just see people wearing all kinds of stuff, doing everything.
I mean, it's not even that, you know. It's not really like the look. It's I don't really know how to describe it. People are a lot more open, I guess. You know, you know. Granted, I'm from here, and I've met a lot of beautiful people here, and some people here that I know would love California just because of how, you know, how different it is. Nebraska is a pretty conservative state.
Definitely.
You know, regardless, you know, you have those vibes here. It's just not the same, you know. I think this might be just me, you know, spitballing. The weather, dude. The weather, it's always sunny. Like, that affects people, you know.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, but Nebraska is ugly during the winter. It's like slush and gray, and like that gets to people, you know. I think
Definitely.
So I think the weather does have something to do with it. You know, being on the coast has something to do with it. The food, and then, you know, all that craziness just gets all muddled into this crazy. You know, everyone's living in this, you know, place, and I don't know, man.
Everybody's living in like a wonderland.
Yeah. That's the other thing is, like, people view this place as, like, you know, it's not make believe, but it's like. You know, the reality sets in when you go to other places because you're like, whoa, this is not the same, you know. So you kind of have to be careful about being sucked into this crew because everyone, you know, we have the perspective of California because of movies, right? So I'll drive down the freeway and I'm like, oh, crap, that's a shot from what movie? And I'm like, oh, 405, crap, you know, I got to you know, be driving. But once you get there, it's, especially for artists, it just opens up this whole other, like, open experience for whatever reason. Like, I wish I could explain to you and tell you this is why, but for me personally, it's just, you know, I got drawn to it, and yeah, I've just loved, and I probably will stay for a good while.
Nice.
So I can't really, like, it's inexplicable, honestly.
I feel yeah, and I really want to get up there. And I know we talked about that. It's about 5 hours away from Tempe, so it's definitely not a long adventure.
Tempe for sure.
So you moved to California, kind of got up and went. No real guidance, no assurance, no like this is where you're gonna be when you get there. You took a leap, and so what has been the best part of this adventure, I guess? I mean, and you mainly did it for your art, your career. You know, I don't know if it involves that.
Independence, you know, being able to, you know, maneuver through society independently. Granted, my parents have helped me quite a bit, but at the same time, like, it's up to me to figure this out because my parents, that's the thing, I can't really ask anyone, oh, how did you do this? You know, I can talk to a couple people and they can tell me their version. One of the biggest things that I did learn, and this was here, trust the process. One of our acting coaches, super cool woman, Becky Boson, does a lot of really cool work here in Lincoln and around the state. And she kind of opened our minds to this idea that you need to trust. What I would change that to is trust your process. Because everyone's different, you know, and I can't tell you, I can't advise you, oh, hey, Tempe, that's where you need to go. And this is where you need to go. And this is what you need to do, you know. It's very different because the industry, there's not a book that says you need to do this, 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 and this, you know. I think the biggest thing is that you need to know yourself. And I think that's probably the best thing about these last 2 years. It's been self-reflection as well, you know. I've living and trying to, you know, go out on your own and traveling, what we were talking about, is probably the best learning experience just by even talking to different people, you know. And then you kind of mold your own, you know, way, and you carve at it, you know. Certain things go wrong, you know, you kind of draw back and you work for a little bit and then you go at it again, you know. But yeah, I think the biggest thing, the best thing that has happened is like I know myself very well now, you know. I've had I've had a good time to really look at, do I really want to do this? Is this who you really are? Or is it just like one of those, you know, childhood dreams that maybe I shouldn't, you know, follow, you know? Because we all wanted to be astronauts. We're not all like going to NASA and being like, all right, let's go to the moon now, or let's go to Mars. I was a kid. I always wanted to be an astronaut, and then I changed. I want to be a skateboarder, or hey, I want to do this and that, and then I realized, well, if I'm an actor, I can do all those things, kind of, in a way, right?
That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think learning to be on your own, it's freeing. It really is. It really is, because you are in charge of yourself, and if you can't look at anyone else, right? If you mess up, you got to look to yourself and fix that in whatever way, because we've all made mistakes, and if failure, if you don't learn from that, then we'd just be stuck in this box of perfection, and then what? You hit the wall and you're like, where do you feel almost constricted, right?
Yeah, you definitely need those bad experiences to kind of push you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Have you experienced, so you having a lot of motivation and ambition to take that leap out there and just go for it and see what happens. Have you had any moments like that where you're saying failure? Like, have you not made an audition and you're like, damn, all right, where do I go from here?
Some people ask me like how I take rejection, and I've had a lot of it. It's not just the last couple of years. There's parts that I've wanted here and I didn't get. There's parts when I was a kid. I was a little kid in York, Nebraska, doing community theater, and there's seniors above me, and I want to be the lion, but you're the munchkin, and I'm like, why am I? Because you're. So yeah. There's been a couple things that have been like, oh, I wish I could have done that, but when I look at that, I'm like, you're doing it though. Just because you didn't get the part doesn't mean like you won't get a part, or something similar, because I could have regretted not going at all, and then what? and then you get stuck in this thing like, I should have done it, and that's worse than being like, oh crap, I just got rejected once for this part.
Definitely.
I'll try again with something else. So rejection has been a little bit of part of it. I've gotten lucky with other things, and so that kind of, when something doesn't go my way, I work towards making moves so I do have that success, somewhere along the line. And then life, that's the different part is, crap happens in life. You get flat tire. What do? You go fix it. You go and change your tire. If you don't get the part, you can't dwell on that, I think, because there's going to be more no's. This is another thing, there's more no's than yeses in this industry.
Yeah, that's what I was going to draw out of that. Like, rejection just seems to be such a huge part of this industry. If you're not okay with it, if you can't handle it, it's probably not the business for you.
If you dwell on it, it'll eat you alive, and it's not personal. That's the other thing.
Oh, that's big. I love that, because
it's not personal.
A lot of rejection. This is a big thing for me. A lot of my earlier years, I didn't really experience rejection a lot, if I'm being honest. Like, I usually got what I wanted, or I would usually like be able to succeed and achieve my goals for the most part. But once I got into the college level, especially when I started applying for schools, I started getting rejection letters. I was like, well, I've done all this great stuff. What is it? And one of my professors sat down with me. Brad Elder?
No, I do not.
He's a professor at Down, really long-haired science guy. But he was like, you have to realize there's a lot you cannot take as personal, because there's so many other factors at play.
Yes.
It's so easy for you when you get denied for a part or a school to think, well, what's wrong with my personality?
What did I do wrong?
You're not thinking about like, well, maybe this kid has experience in this computer program that they use. Boom. It's not personal. It's not like we don't like you. There's so many factors at play. Funding, on my side specifically. But yeah, it's important. I think I like that you said that, because that's been a big part of my battle with acceptance and being able to push past rejection.
Well, and like with sports, because in high school, football, everything, track, everything, we failed a little bit here and there, but it's part of it. It's not, you just have to keep going, because if you just stop, then you just stop that train, and then, everyone gets off.
Yeah. I totally forgot. We played football together my freshman year, your senior year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who,
yeah.
Ryan Commendo, is he head
Commenda?
coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't talked to him in forever, man.
Yeah.
That's
Commenda.
crazy. I just got like a brain blast to that experience.
Well, yeah, it's crazy because we did like kind of, we went to high school for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where you were gonna go after that, so I didn't realize that you'd come to Doane.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think you were a large reason I did come to Doane.
really, why?
I think so. Well, I think I talked to you before I visited, or before I was going to visit, or before I even decided to visit, and you're like, yeah, you should check it out. I really enjoy it. Because
Yeah.
you were pretty much the only person I knew that went to Doane.
Well, like Macy Jones
Yeah,
football too.
but I wasn't too close. I mean, I
Oh,
was
true.
closer with you. Like, I actually
Right.
talked to you.
Yeah. Especially because of I think it was the the baseball kids. I was you playing baseball. I'm like, holy crap, maybe he'd like it here.
Mm-hmm.
But
Definitely.
oh yeah, Doane. It was a great experience, man.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is like as an actor, any experience you get, any time on stage or with someone else that you can, express, it's gold.
What's cool is
Yeah.
is Doane's acting program. Did they do you pretty good for you? You think?
Oh no. That's I mean, I came to Doane because of the program.
Hmm.
I had visited UNL, and they showed me the pretty stuff, but I got to Doane and they showed me like what the potential is to do, um, um, what is it called? Status quo moving, pushing the status quo, moving stuff, and that I wanted to be risky and do that, and
Yeah.
and Rob was always, super supportive of still is, built a huge program. The theater that we're doing there is, like it said, it's really really cool stuff. It's really interesting stories, and
Nice.
sometimes those stories people don't agree with, and that's why we're like, okay, we must be doing something right, because we're like pushing buttons a little bit, make people think. It's not just like the well packaged show that everyone knows and stuff like that. So
Definitely.
yeah, the program still kicking butt.
Yeah.
It's amazing that. Yeah, I've learned a lot from being here at Doane.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I would
Heck
not.
yeah.
I would not. I do not regret my time at Doane at all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. I just think I love the story of the leap to Cali in general, because I think it speaks so much volumes to a lot. I think so many people want to do that. Maybe not specifically Cali. I think that's easy and like the most general fantasy for people to imagine. Like, I'm gonna pack up everything and move to Cali. But just the general idea that, you're just starting life somewhere else. You're on your own, no friends over there. You're just starting a new life and creating, which is just an amazing dream. I think that is so important for people
Yeah.
to, hear about and, maybe personally think about and see if it's possible for them. Because in a way, that's kind of what I'm doing.
I was gonna say you were gonna do
Yeah,
this. So.
yeah. And that's why I think it's so special. I admire what you did, specifically just because there was no, I have funding. I have a secure location waiting for me where I know, like, I'm going to live here. I know that I can afford it because of this. You are very much more independent. Like, this is life, and we are just diving
That's my
in.
mom, man. I think about. You think my leap was big? What do you think my mom was thinking? She's like, "Let's move to the United States, man."
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's where I think I got my risk-taking bone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How's
Yeah.
your mom doing?
She's
Your
doing
mom
great.
is a wonderful lady. I haven't talked to her in
Oh.
forever.
Oh no,
man.
no. That's the reason why I'm being able to do this.
Yeah.
So she's always been super supportive of my crazy stuff, and she trusted me to do all of this and was like, "Yep, go."
That's so cool.
Yeah. But at the beginning, she was kind of questioning, like, whoa, like, if you're gonna do it, let's talk, and like let's make sure you have some sort of trajectory where it's not just like, oh, you completely open. So it may sound that I just like put my stuff in the car. There's a lot of planning before that too.
Mhm.
She didn't just like pick up all her stuff in Colombia and pack up and come here. She had the right, she was planning for it, and then she got the right opportunity. And once you got that right opportunity, you're because you've been planning and visualizing it almost before. when the opportunity comes, it kind of just flows a little better.
Nice, yeah.
And we left family. We're actually gonna see them here pretty soon, and if you think my trip to California is big, I was gonna say think what my mom was thinking. Just moving. The cool thing was since she was an exchange student here in Nebraska, I think that we talk about the American dream, and everyone's like, oh, you got to be rich and that, this is that. My mom's the happiest, little Colombian that there is simple life, nothing crazy. She's got her grandkids, the family and everything, and they travel when they can, and she, dude, women, moms, it's crazy.
Yeah, your mom
she
was.
surprises me still.
I would love to run into her again because I have not talked to her since high school. And
Yeah.
she was always so nice, but we were always so mischievous. We were like sneaking around and stuff.
I'm sure. And she was probably that way when she was a kid. I'm sure she wasn't like perfect.
Yeah, no, I think it's so funny.
She probably was like, gosh, those guys are just like, running around being all ornery.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So your story, your adventure. Where are you at now? How's it going for you? You said earlier that you want to stay there. You're going to be there for a while, but you're in the thick of it. So you're in the standard, I guess, protocol for anybody trying to make it big, right?
Well,
Acting wise.
Pretty much just started.
Yeah.
2 years is
Definitely.
just starting. There's people that do this for 10 years and it doesn't work out. So I'm kind of trusting that I'm taking the risk of, taking time, because time is crucial, and what to use with that time, because we have all the time, based what we think we do, right? And then then you turn 30 and you're like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? But right now it is kind of just starting for me, because 2 years was, establishing, making sure, I was okay. I wasn't going to just be leaping off into the ends of the earth and, be homeless and stuff, And you got to take care of yourself too, So right now it's kind of another little wave, as I like to say, because it seems like I do a project and things go well. Things are happening, then it kind of dips down a little bit, and not a lot of things are going on. Those are the crucial times, because when it's low, even though I'm not in something, I try to create,
Nice.
draw,
Okay.
Do online show. My buddy Dylan is doing an online show, so he's like, write an episode. I'm like, hell yeah. So writing as well. That's another thing that my mentors taught me, was just because you're not out there like doing something, you should be creative either way. So some days it's harder than others, but
that's amazing.
Yeah. That's
What's the online show that you're talking about? What is this?
It's called Losers by D&D Studios. I'm plugging you, Dylan. Heck yeah. And it's a really cool little show about how we're dealing with our lives as in kind of our generation after we're done in college. Living in probably a crappy, apartment or house, and just working. And it's really cool. It's got three episodes right now, and we can. I don't know if you can tag this like down here, or we can.
Yeah, where's it available on?
YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm plugging Dylan here because he is the master of the show. So,
Losers.
Losers. Yes.
D&D Studios.
I will. I'll give you info, and you can. But it's a really cool little concept. The really cool thing about it, Hunter, is that Dylan has found a way to make movies and video games, movies or TV series in a video game. So this show is made in Sims. So he scripts the show, right, like a TV show. Then he goes on the computer and in this open world of Sims recreates the episode by moving the camera wherever he wants. And it's funny, especially if you play Sims, you have I'm breaking the fourth wall. Especially if you, especially if you play Sims. There's a lot of little funny stuff that Sims do that he plays around with it. Like getting into the shower, they like spin around real
I
quick.
kind of want to watch. Is it on? It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You can check it out.
I might be able to pull it up and actually put it on the screen for people to watch.
Okay. There you go, Dylan. I got you, dude. D&D Studios.
I'm so curious.
D and then yes, there you go.
I did not know you were talking about Sims characters. When you threw that there, I was like, whoa, that's creative.
No,
that's really creative.
It's a really cool thing because imagine
what would an episode be called?
Well, put losers and see if it will come up there. We can cut this out if we need to. The thing is, like, his channel is kind of weird. Go up to the top, erase the losers part, all of it until D&D, and then put D and then the and sign and then the D. See if that comes up. No.
Oh, just like this?
Back it up. Nope. Back up to the D.
Uh-huh.
And then put the and sign.
That what I just did?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Nice.
D&D. Maybe it'll come up. We need to change your thing.
Yeah, your search is not
What I can do is we can plug it, and then I'll send you a link.
For sure. I was just so.
You can just put it on your little the little box or comment box.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff, man. I think it's very creative that
it's not on there.
The idea that they would do stuff with Sims is.
Yeah, and people don't realize the work it takes to make that, and he just nonchalantly is like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make this show. It's really cool."
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah,
man.
I'll send you the link that way. If people are interested, I will say this is adult content. It's not like super adult, but it is dealing with adult things. So if you're under the age of 18, I would say probably don't go on this.
Yeah, a little disclaimer.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's true though.
Heck yes. So you're doing cool stuff. You're staying creative. I like that. I think that's really good. I think with any craft, it's important. If you're not doing anything big to practice it, whether it be writing or talking or studying. Yeah. All this stuff. I think it's important to just
conversation.
Exactly. Always just fine tune your craft, because a lot of people think that you do need to be in those big situations, but. Just that repetition. So I guess here's my question. There's a lot of people, to preface it, that want to do what you did or want to do maybe
don't. No, I'm just kidding.
But in a very general sense, not like jealousy, but more like a lot of people want to take a leap. They're like, dang. Or a lot of people say, I wish I would have moved to Cali when I was young and just went for it. And what would be your biggest piece of advice? Because I think that it's so valuable. It's very admirable for someone to look at someone and see them, just go off to this wonderland and just chase their passions and their dreams and not care what other people say, what other people think.
That's one of the things is you can't care what other people say because they're not in your shoes.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Respectfully, because, other people have other stuff they want to do and they should do that. I think the biggest advice is visualization. If you want to do it, visualize it beforehand. People think about daydreaming and stuff like that as unproductive or well, with you, I know you might do this where you have a board where you have things that you want to accomplish and you put them up there or whatever, the visual board. But I literally would think, every other day, hey, what can I, visualize, and then you have to trust the vision, trust the process, and stuff's gonna go wrong. So you have to mold kind of around that. But the thing is, I have friends that are like, oh, I want to do this, and then you hear them talking about it, which is good because the more you talk about it with someone, it kind of makes you responsible,
Definitely.
right? So I think the biggest thing is once you have that idea that you want to do something is really kind of talk to yourself and be like, what can I do right now in order to make that happen? Whether it's work an extra hour at work or, not go out 3 nights in a row instead of just go out once. If it's a financial thing, if it's, if it's an advice thing, who can I talk to make this happen? that was another thing, I went to people and I asked them. There's people in California that live there. I went and had, conversations with them about how they did it. They told me how they did it, and then I pulled things that I thought would be useful, and then I'd cram it in my, box. And from there, the move wasn't bad, because once you're there, you're there. It's from there on that's
getting
like,
it started.
holy crap. Because the drive was nuts, first of all. That drive is insane.
How long is it?
I drove 20 hours the first day.
That is
Just
insane.
boom, met Dillon, Colorado. Ended in Mesquite, Nevada.
That
Huge
is-
rainstorm. We I swear, we almost died. And then we get to, beautiful Monterey, and we're like, oh my word, like multi-million-dollar house. Like, what is going on? And then kind of reeling back, you work it out.
Mhm.
And things didn't go our way. There was a couple places that were like, no, we're not gonna, we're not gonna take you, this and that. And then it finally worked out.
That's crazy.
So it's like, I could have ended up, back here for another year, and I would have taken time off, work, and then tried again.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happened that I got pretty damn lucky that it happened right away, and everything's the way that it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. So has everything been worth it for you, you think?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
why is that? Is it just solely based on like your career progress,
No.
your experience, or just life?
No, it's I'm trying to live happy as
That's awesome.
much as possible, because acting is different. You can do this your whole life. You should work at it all, like, the whole way through. But it's not one of those things where if I'm not at this spot and this point, I cannot grow. Or if I don't become CEO at this point, my life is ruined. If I don't get this promotion at this time, I won't be able to move, I just have to continue to do it. And if I continue to like doing it, even better, There's times that I'm probably going to be like, I don't want to be at this, shoot or whatever. But then I'll just be like, dude, shut up. You're doing what you want to do. shut up and stop complaining.
Yeah,
do your lines
exactly.
and just do it. That's the thing. Is like, I'm freaking lucky. I get to do the thing that I wanted to do since I was a kid.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's how I feel though. It's the thing. It's like it's not like that's why I really like the similarities between our like creative passions or directions, because I'm in the same boat in a way where it's like you don't need to have this many viewers by episode 50 or this many by episode 100.
Yeah.
It's like it could be episode 1,000 where things start to take off. You never know.
Exactly. And you know what? This whole thing is you being a creative.
Yeah,
you starting this
exactly.
whole thing, and it's like, what do you want to do? You want to talk to people. That's dude. I could sit here for 3 days talking about some crazy shit. Excuse my
Exactly.
French, but seriously, it's a great way to connect with people, and especially when you, like I told you, you get a scientist and a comedian in a room. What the hell is gonna happen?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, man.
imagine the things. I mean, because I know you've had Kenny, right?
Yeah.
Kenny, amazing artist as well.
Oh yes.
And who else have you had on here?
Kendra.
Kendra.
She's very well versed in education. So she brought a lot to the table in there.
I saw that episode. I was very interested about that.
My favorite thing about all this too is like the biggest quality about me, I guess, the reason I want to pursue this is because
why do you? Hey, let's turn things around.
you
Hi,
interviewed
everybody.
me.
Welcome to the show. I'm here with Hunter Kleinschmidt, a pretty good friend of mine. What are you getting out of this, Hunter? Why did you decide to do this?
So here's
I think you've kind of explained it a little bit.
A little bit. Here's my thing. In my line of work, specifically higher education, when you get a doctorate, you are only, or as far as information, people want you to speak only in your box. So if I have, for example, I'm getting a PhD in environmental life sciences. I can go to environmental life scientist conferences or people that are in environment, and I'll talk and they'll listen to me. The problem is that in this field, our higher education, like our society, if you try to talk out of that bubble, you're immediately discredited. So you are pretty much taught. The system doesn't want you to be outside of your field of expertise, and it kind of wants to enclose you. And my thing as a person is I love everything. Like I go in spurts where I love education. I really want to study education. I really want to study science. I really want to study art. You know what I mean? And this gives me the opportunity to constantly just explore all the fields of knowledge.
Loophole.
Yeah. So even though I'm going to grad school and I have to look at what I'm going to be doing for 4 years, is I'm going to be the world's expert in one little tiny piece of science. So this subject I'll know more than anybody on the earth, but it's only
Green
a little
algae.
thing. Very close, like diatoms.
Dr. Gene Algae. How are you doing?
Single
No,
cell.
that's very interesting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so it's very enclosed, and it's very. I would personally feel suffocated by that if I didn't have a passion like this that allowed me to not have any barriers. I can talk to whoever. I can talk to a scientist. I can talk to an artist. I can talk to people that are in education. I can talk to anybody about anything, and I can just relate to it. I even though I'm a scientist, I'm more of just a learner, and I like to not only get information from different fields and talk about it. Yeah, but I want to share that with other people, because I really do think that, wide varieties of information are not, even though it may seem pointless to you because you're not a scientist, there's still connections that people can get from just about every field.
That's amazing, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I had that mind, that scientific mind, because I would study. You were talking about like astrology.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would go.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the universe is
it's amazing, man.
amazing. It's almost within us in a way. We are the stardust, right?
Yeah, it really changed my life, because I do have that like kind of like information based obsession type of personality. Like information, I want more. I don't like to get to a point and be like, oh, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I always have another question to ask. You know what I mean?
You're the devil's advocate, kind of sometimes, right?
Yeah. That's the thing with space, man. It's so incredible. I know we talked about this earlier the other day. You're like, I'm interested in it. It's one of those things that it's like a domino effect. Like there was a point where I wasn't interested in space, and the only space that I got was Neil deGrasse Tyson on Netflix.
Yeah, right.
Talking about the cosmos, right? But then it got to like one time I'd probably watched an episode a couple of times, and I had a question, so I looked it up. And I was like, wow, like I had this question. When I got the answer, I was like, whoa. But I had another question, and it did, like, my urge to learn about it became more and more powerful until I started reading. It went from watching Netflix episodes to reading books. Went from reading books to going into professors' offices, like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Like, then it just like, and I prefaced Alice in Wonderland going into the rabbit hole. Learning about it because when you go in, you cannot go back. There's so much information, and it really does. One of my favorite things, the reason I do all this, the reason I love information so much, is because my favorite thing in the world is probably the way that your perception develops when you learn specific types of information. Like the way that you look at the world, it's like, when I learn information, and there's been certain times in my life, some more pivotal than others, that I'll learn something, and it's literally like taking like a color filter and just placing it over my lens. It's like, whoa, like I'm going outside. Like, it's insane, man.
Yeah.
And I am obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe it. And the reason I am so passionate about sharing this information, and because it's all good that I like information, I like learning. Why do I not just record it? Why do I just sit in my room and bring people over to talk? The reason
you could do that. We do that. It's called hanging out.
Yeah. So why would I not just hang out, and why do I want to broadcast to the world? Because I believe that everybody can get that. I believe everybody that can get that change their perception, and a lot of people don't realize it. So that's kind of one of the biggest goals I have, and that's why I love broadcasting it to the world.
No, I mean, we were talking about, like, say we're talking about this, and we don't really realize how this is going to affect whoever is watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something they're going to be sitting at home like, holy crap, what did he say? Here, hold on a second. Pause that. And they're going to go off on a rabbit hole and be like, Mom, I'm moving out. I'm going to California. I'm an actor. Just letting you know. Something like that. I'm going to go follow my dreams.
Exactly.
You never know. You never know. I think conversation, especially when you have someone that it's a give and take, it's super cool because it creates a space that it's kind of private, you have this connection with someone else, and no one else right now. There's going to be people listening, but we're not by ourselves in your room, as creepy as that might sound.
Mm-hmm.
And when if we didn't do this, if we didn't like raise questions or ask people like, hey, what is your, perspective, or how did you do this? We would just be sitting here just walking around like looking at each other like, all right, what's the next step? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
And it's that's how we learn from each other too. You have to push people too. So
definitely.
this is really cool. I love this idea of like, bringing in different people
Yeah.
and asking them like what their journey's like is really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think it's very valuable, especially for people who just take leaps, man, take chances, because I think a lot of people, some people at least,
If you're
just
fortunate, take that chance. If you have something else in your life that you think you should take care of first, you should do that first, because if you make a risk like that, and you're not yourself like put together, it's gonna be harder for you once you have done the move or whatever. I think self-care is another thing that I would say is the most important thing. There were some things that where I wasn't able to completely wrap up, but at the same time, I think I was in the best position to do this. I mean, that's where the risk comes in, where you think, okay, maybe I shouldn't, and maybe I should take a year off and save a little more, or maybe I should go talk to a couple more people before I make a big risk. As long as you're taking care of yourself and you're not hurting other people, for the most part, I may be kicking myself. I think for the most part, you should do it. If you are driven and wanting to do it, you should do it, regardless
yeah.
of.
I think a big thing that it ties into that you said earlier too is just like the belief. Like, it's a big feeling thing, I think, because if you truly believe that, obviously when you're taking risks, there's going to be some doubt, but I'm sure that you experienced it, and I feel it too as I'm about to leap on my adventure. It's like it just feels so right. Like, I think that's
Intuition.
Yeah, I think that's what's driving me. It's like, I know this is it. There's no other option. It would just not feel right. And I say this a lot, cliche. It sounds cliche, but it's just something I can't express very well. And I can only imagine that's where you were at, because your leap was a little more risky than mine. It's just like that feeling that if I don't, it's not right. And it's kind of what's driving me a little bit.
Yeah, intuition, or your intuition is very important, because you should trust it. Calculated, Don't just go like, oh, I should go out and have 13 ice creams.
Yeah,
I feel like this is right. Maybe have one ice cream and then see how you feel.
Yeah, there's gotta be some info there.
Especially with dreams, because the longer you wait, and again, if you're ready for it, you need to. It's scary to jump and do that, but it feels so much better once you've done it, because when you're on the train, you're on the train. You're already on it. Now you just either can stop and get off or continue to stay on, right? So with you, it's like it's kind of building up to this final moment where you move. But that's the crazy thing, is that once you make that and once you're there, it's the beginning of something else.
Yes.
So you will continue to make risks but you just like get on a step ladder. You're like,
Yeah, it's like
okay, I'm gonna
different-
jump from here now, and then you go up higher. What if I can jump from here?
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, though. It's just a big like culmination, and it's so incredible. One thing that I've gotten a lot better at over life is there'll be big pivotal moments. So usually you're able to recognize when you have to jump to that next ladder.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And you see them. And when I was earlier in my life, whether it be, a big conference, and periods where I know it's going to be pivotal for me, anxiety and like anxiousness and nervousness would kind of take over as it approached. And then I'd get to it. I'd make the jump to the next ladder. I'd be on that next ladder, and I'd look back and I'd be like, I wish I would have enjoyed that more before I got there. I was way too nervous. So one thing I'm starting to be able to do is not get as anxious and more enjoy those, especially as I approach the climax.
Enjoy the nervousness, dude. I think I love that, because if you're nervous, that means you're getting ready to do something that you're uncomfortable with, or like
and that's
unknown.
where I see growth.
Jumping into the unknown. Very okay. I don't know. Like in high school, I got more nervous going into football games than to being in theater.
That's amazing.
Just that, like, I'm like, oh, I'd rather go
Hey,
in front
Andre,
of.
you ready to get in there? You're like,
Like,
oh,
yes. Like, but that feeling is I've learned to when I feel that feeling, something exciting is gonna happen. I don't view it as, oh, this is scary. It's like going up a roller coaster. You're going up, and the fun part is the anticipation.
Yeah.
Once you get to the bottom, you're like, I already did it. It happened already. Whatever. It was the anticipation, then like a.
Yeah.
So I've learned. It's funny you said that, because I've learned that once you feel a little nervous, I think you should jump into it a little more and push it a little more, because we push our bodies like that. If we just like, oh, I ran a mile, that's as far as I can run. I don't think I can run any more than that. And then you get done with a mile, you're like, what if I went around the track one more time? And then you do it, you're like, whoa, what,
Yeah.
So you just push yourself mentally, emotionally, and then challenging your intellect and everything, learning information, all of that. There's gonna be the nerves, but
Yeah.
maybe looking for the nerves is like, ooh, this is something big's gonna happen.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that's super important. The biggest thing for me was, jumping off that, is how I perceived the nerves. I used to perceive the nerves as I would kind of fight them off. And now, as I've gone through these experiences and looked back and been, wow, your nerves were good there. I now understand that when nerves are happening, it means that I'm in a place where I'm not comfortable or I'm not used to. And now all of a sudden we're talking about like extreme growth. Like if you're nervous and you're in a space, I don't really get nervous about a lot of things anymore, unfortunately. Hopefully, as my career,
you feel comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, though. It's like when I get now compared to earlier in my life, if I would have gotten nervous, I would have been like, oh shit, what happens if I mess this up? What if I mess up this line? What if people don't understand me? Now it's more like, okay, we're nervous. This is amazing. We're getting growth out of this. I'll be fine. Like it's not destructive. I still have the feelings, but it's more of like okay, this is big. Like I know this moment is real, and I know it's like big for me because it has those feelings. So
and you're right. You're gonna get over. You'll get over it. It's
Yeah.
not, the feeling will leave, but what won't leave is regret.
Yeah.
Say you're nervous and you don't do something. You're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Damn, for a while until you accomplish that.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have a lot of that.
Regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my. I'm just a big leaper. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I am just gonna set everything out I do. I want to. That's been a long-term goal of mine for a long time. Is just I want to make sure that when I look back, I can tell myself that I squeezed all the juice out of it.
A lot of lemonade being made here. There's a lot of lemons laying on the ground.
It's all dried up, all the juice squeezed out.
Just in the corner over there. What is that? It's T-Rex pee.
Yeah, man. I think I know we've talked about this a little bit, and I know you relate, but there's one of those things, man. Especially in a lot of my guests too, it comes up. It's like if you see regret on older people's faces or just in their lives, it's one of the scariest things in the world. And you just gotta like push it to the limits, man. You can't leave anything out there. I think that, and I hate being motivational because there's a lot of stigma that's behind it. As much of a motivated person as I am, and as much as I think in that language, like you gotta what is it? You have to want your dream more than you want to sleep. Like all these cliche terms, and as not as well as those might be accepted by the general public for whatever reason. That's a large majority of the way I process things, just motivationally. Like I want to make sure that I squeeze everything out. So when it gets to those last moments, or when I have a kid and I'm getting old, it's like I'm good. Like I'm okay with this. Everything I did, I kicked ass. So I'm comfortable with where I'm at. I want to make sure I get there.
We are fortunate though to be able to do that because there's people that don't have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets tough, because then there's people that want to do things that can't because of other circumstances. They have a family now, so they can't do that. Or they got the promotion, so they're comfortable there, and they won't take a leap because they feel like they've accomplished something, and they want to stay there because they're comfortable.
Yeah.
But that goes back to like, if you're in the right position, you should, and you're taking care of yourself. I think you leap and you go, and then you figure it out, because you can map this out, and you can be like, I need to be here, here, and here, and here, and here, and by this time I need to be here. But here, this happens. Now you're here, and then this happens, and then you're back over here.
Yeah.
So yes, having a plan is good, but at the same time, being uncomfortable will help you do this. So just because you weren't here doesn't mean that you can't end here.
Yeah, definitely. No, I like that. And I like what you said about sacrifice too, because, for example, my mom had a lot of aspirations and stuff, had me when she was 21, and that limited a lot of the things that she could do. So she would, as much as she wants to hear all this motivational talk, there's only so much she can do because she has these other commitments, right?
Yeah.
And that happened so I could be in the position I am where I can follow my dreams. So I think even though those sacrifices might not lead to that success in the moment, it does come back around.
It does, yeah.
Right. Some people right now aren't in a position to go to California or start a podcast or move across the country to go to school. But hopefully, I think the way I would look at it is that you're, for whatever reason, whatever sacrifices you make, as long as you're pushing it, doing the best you can, you're setting the rest of you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, man. It's I wish, we could just tell, like, hey, everyone can do whatever they want. But who knows? Maybe I won't be. Maybe I'll find something else or another passion in my life, in the next 3 years, and I'll go towards that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like, I wanted to put myself in the geographical place where I could find all the options and all of the things and grab onto them. And then if later on in life I'm like, you know what, I'd rather, whatever other career, then I would, this is me saying this now at 26 years old, like, oh, I'll figure it out later. It's like, I'll be a scientist later. I'll get my doctorate later, right? But, it's crazy. You can't,
you never know.
You never know. No, you don't. But what you can control is now, and the things that you set yourself up for.
I think that's a valuable mindset too, because a lot of people, I like the idea of realizing that you have no idea, just like succumbing to, like, being humble about your passion or where you're going, or it's more like crossing out or finding out what you don't like. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Compared to for example, when younger individuals, especially going into school, like, I want to be a physical therapist. They're 18 years old, 17 years old. These kids have no idea what they want to be. They might have like a general idea that their dad's a physical therapist and they liked what he did, but that's like one of millions of jobs that they have ever experienced. You know what I mean? It's more like, you can't put the blinders on too early, I think is what I'm trying to say. The idea that going with an open mind, like, I have no idea. I've never been a interior designer, so I have no idea if I'd like it.
I can see it though.
Yeah.
With you. This place looks great.
Yeah. It was a potential career path.
Okay, yeah. I can see that.
My mom was she was going to be an interior designer. She went to college. That's funny that you say that. She went to college for 5 different things. So she switched her major like 5 times, ended up coming out with a degree that she really didn't, like one of those like ultimate bad paths. But right before she got out, she realized that she wanted to be an interior designer. Unfortunately, it was too late for her. But we used to sit at our house when we were younger, and we would like interior design our living room like every week, like switch around the furniture.
The feng shui is wacky right now.
We need to switch up the vibes.
This dresser looks weird here. Let's put it in the middle of the room. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you throw the couch on the other side of the living room, and all of a sudden you have a new house.
Right?
You know what I mean?
There's so much space. There's so many activities, dude.
No, that's the thing.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what do you?
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
You're good.
Do you feel like you followed your own way, or do you feel like you were influenced by, say, parents and or other ideas?
I would say I 100% followed my own way. First off, no one in my family has ever gotten a doctorate degree, so it's like very. If they have, they're very distant. Do you want another one?
Sure.
So if they have, it's very distant. So first off, the idea of knowledge and learning past college isn't very like valued in my family. So that by itself is very unique. Second, I have a very, very religious family. So I wouldn't even say that I went more with it. I would say that my life is a lot more against the grain, because there are periods in my life where I've had to study, like, honestly, in a family environment secretly, just because it's not accepted generally. So it's so much more of like against the grain. It's more of like a secretive kind of like, I believe in this. It just feels right. Like, as much as my family, like there are people in my family who are religious and supportive of, my education. So I'm not trying to like be biased against that or negative against that in any way, but there are spaces in my family where it is not acceptable and they don't want to hear about it, especially when you're talking about space and life in space. Things get a little dicey. So yeah, it's been a learning experience for me. There's been a lot of times the feeling of isolation, but I believe in it so much.
Dude, I think within that isolation, you've grown, because
Yes, 100%.
I asked that because my parents, for the most part, were like, "What do you want to do?"
Mm-hmm.
They never were like, which, granted, I understand there's some parents that want the best for their kids, so they're like, "Hey, Tommy, I think that you should go to this because it has great benefits, or you're gonna have a 20 or what is it, 5-digit salary when you're out of freshman year of whatever."
Yeah.
And then there's kids that, which I think we have friends that ended up with a degree that that now they're like, "Well, I don't like this," and it was, sadly, it was because they followed, or, I'm not saying like it's bad to listen to your parents and them giving you advice, but I think ultimately you should try what you want, and then hopefully your parents will be supportive of that. And then if something happens where you are like, "Oh, I'm wrong," then you go somewhere else and you try the other thing.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I hope people are, going off of by what they want to do. That being said, we can't all be scientists,
Yeah.
That's where you kind of have to step back and be like, what am I good at? What do I like to do? There's people that love, animals, and they'll follow the veterinarian route, or like arts. That's another example. Like, just because I'm an actor doesn't mean I don't like music, or I'm not going to do something involving music, or if you're a scientist, doesn't mean that you don't want to study, economics, because they coincide in some way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm glad going back to this. I'm glad that you were able to, kind of carve your own way, whether you had the best of time in some points. But again, I think that all had to do with how you molded yourself now.
Definitely. That's one thing one of the most frustrating things, maybe not even frustrating is the best word, but surprising things to me in general in life, just going through normal day, everyday experiences, is the amount of people that feel sorry for or are saddened by adversity. So for example, I'll say something about my life that happened to me, like something that is not the most positive, but someone will ask me about it, like family situation, and I'll explain it to them, like, "Oh, I'm sorry for you," and it's like, a lot of the times I'm just like, you shouldn't feel sorry for me. I almost feel like you should be jealous, because that adversity made me such a better human. You know what I mean?
I've had that too.
You know what I mean? Like people feel sorry, and I just like I feel like an evil. Yeah, it is sympathy, and it's just funny because I always feel like a evil villain, because I'm like laughing. I'm like, "Don't be sorry." It's like, but it really is like, you shouldn't feel so. I mean, it makes sense, like normal human interaction, to be like, "Oh, I feel bad," because it would be kind of weird if you were like, "Yeah, I grew up without a mother and father." You're like, "Ah, shit, dude. Well,"
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I could have done something. I wish I could have been your dad.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, but it is that's a human thing to be like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish I could have, done or helped.
Yeah, I wish I feel like it's only
sympathize.
right.
Yeah.
But it's ironic that at the same moment, the way I perceive stuff like that is more like good for you, because that kind of adversity, it's not like there's not an insane amount of growth that comes out of that. You know what I mean? Like that requires a lot out of you as a human. Not having a certain parent allows you you have to compensate. You have to fill roles in your family. Adversity in general, I think, just forms. It's another cliche motivational quote, but like that kind of pressure forms diamonds, amazing things. I think really good things comes out of adversity and challenge.
Yeah. Adversity. You're talking to absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think I would not take anything back, because you're right. There's some things that like sometimes I'd get bullied, this and that. At the beginning, I was like, okay, maybe I'm the new kid. I'm not from around here, this and that. But then I'm like, there's some reason why I think I can like make this into a positive, right? I think that's why like comedy speaks so much to me, because you take something that's not right and you just make it funny. But yeah, I think that's why, like you said, sometimes we go through things and we don't realize at the time that they're going to mold you, and you can't stop that. You can't like learn that. You can't just go to any establishment or any school and learn that. It's just life experience. I was still your only child for a while, playing by yourself, imagining yourself. If I didn't have that, who knows? If I had other brothers and sisters, maybe my mom wouldn't have moved here, because 3 kids. No, absolutely not. So it goes back to what you were saying. That sometimes you felt maybe alone or ostracized from your family, or from being able to learn openly, but now look at this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super cool. Overcoming that adversity is
Exactly, man. I think
stuff.
it's high value. I think it's really valuable. Well, man, thank you for coming in. I don't want to
man.
hold you too long. I feel like I could talk to you all night.
No, I know. I could do this all day, but
You're welcome back anytime, man. And from now on, if you're ever in Nebraska, let's shoot another one up. Maybe next time you'll be like fresh out of a movie release.
right. Oh my gosh, I hope I can plug a movie next time.
Yeah, man. Well, for anybody listening, do you have any like social media links if anybody wants to follow?
You can follow me on Instagram. I don't post. Social media is kind of weird to me right now. I don't post a lot, but I am posting my journey. Throughout this whole thing. I'm just not gonna waste your time on social media. You're not gonna be like seeing me post every single day all the sandwiches that I have and everything like that. So yeah, follow me, please. Andres.Kamler at whatever. Andres period Kamler. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on, man. Thank everybody for listening. Andreas Kamler, once again, nomad, California exploration master. Thank you guys so much. Check out our episodes more on audio version only at my RSS feed. I'll put that in the description. We now have C audio version only. Like I said, guys, we're trying to upgrade the podcast to fit your guys' needs. Thank you very much. Peace out, guys.
Later.